Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another day of Corona cruising. As you can see, there's a lot more snow on the ground. Looks like it's only a couple inches, maybe, if that. It really doesn't even look like a whole lot, to be honest. So I was reading you guys' comments. Thank you, everybody that was leaving comments. I do read them. I try and get back to you as quick as I can. I try not to be, I don't like texting and driving and things like that. So whenever I stop for the day, or if you comment overnight and I'm sleeping and I get up in the morning and see you have a comment, I always try and at least like it or leave a reply. So, but one of you guys left a comment, and it kind of fits perfectly with my day today because it's about trip planning and how important it can be, and how you can really save yourself a lot of headache whenever you sit down and just kind of work through your head, know what you can do, know what you can't do, and of course always abiding by that clock. So there's a couple things about it really that really do try and make or break your whole day. So obviously weather, traffic, and if you're at a customer, those three things can make or break your whole day. You can be driving down the road and all of a sudden someone has a car accident, someone has backed up traffic, rush hour, morning traffic, whatever. That can really change the outcome of your whole day on a highway. Weather, so this morning we got up and I noticed last night that there was a storm moving into Pennsylvania, and they already had posted signs out saying if you're empty, you can't be on the road and after 12 p.m. and things like that. So they're trying to take their precautions for the state, trying to keep everybody safe. And then of course, empties being on the road, they don't want them on the road just because of that snowstorm, high winds. You're light, you slide around a lot easier. There's nothing really keeping that trailer down to the ground, whether you're a flatbed or whether you're a box van or a reefer or whatever you have. I mean, they're really light when they're empty, and they just slip and slide all over the place. It's just like carrying a giant tissue box. They catch a lot of wind, they turn over, they do all kinds of things. So the states, have to shut them down. So we as in me and you, I guess you're included in this now. I was looking at the weather and saw that there was a big storm rolling in and supposed to have a whole bunch of snow and blah blah blah. I never really worry too much about it. Snow is snow. I mean, when you're up here in the Northeast or in the North, or anywhere that it snows, I mean it's gonna snow, it's gonna come, it's gonna happen. And that's kind of the bad part about it, is that eventually it will snow. But the good part is that it snows every year, and every year they throw salt, they come out and plow, the state workers are doing what they need to be doing, and they're taking care of the roads as best as they can to make sure that it's safe for everybody to still travel. So I personally don't really worry about it, but again, I've driven in snow for a long time. I know how to drive in snow. I know how to drive in mud. I know how to drive when it's dry. I know how to drive when it's raining. So, and that just comes with time and experience, and miles under your belt. Once you're in it, you'll learn how to drive through it safely. But of course, you never want to be driving while it's happening. At least if you can avoid it. If you can't avoid driving through a snowstorm, avoid it. Why would you sit there and drive through it when you could easily avoid it and not have to worry about it, not have to worry about someone else slipping and sliding on down the road and then them hitting you or hitting someone else in front of you and then causing a backup and things like that. So it's always nice to trip plan, look at the weather, look at everything going on, And I mean, to be honest, I didn't really hear too much about it until a buddy of mine called me and asked me if I was sitting in the snow. And I told him, I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, there's a big storm headed up. And I looked and I was like, oh boy. So it's, it's out there, guys. But again, snow happens, rain happens, mud happens. I mean, it's all just nature. We're just living in it. So when I was looking at it, I said, okay, well, this delivery can get there as soon as I can get it there. And then I also have a pickup tomorrow in New York. I was like, well, it's only 6 hours there. I can get unloaded and I should be able to push back to New York to one of the pilots and stage myself to get ready for the next day. So if you can, it's always beneficial to you to stage yourself. Get yourself as close as you can. That way, in cases like this where there is a snowstorm coming, I'm already set up for tomorrow. And by the time I have my live load tomorrow, it's going to be noon. And that's going to be warmer weather, warm-ish. I mean, it's not going to be, sunny and 75, but it'll be warmer. The plows will have been out, the salt the roads, plow them down, and everybody will be awake. Everyone's going to be, pushing that stuff off the side of the road and doing what they need to do. So I'm getting as close as I can, finding a safe place to park, legal place to park, and I'm just going to shut down there. Now, my biggest concern was when I was leaving Pennsylvania today to come out to Massachusetts, what was I going to run into? Was I going to run into parts of the storm that had already passed over me overnight? Was I going to run into traffic? Was I going to run into whatever? Because for whatever reason, people hear storm and blizzard and all this other stuff, and a lot of people panic. And so they're out of the grocery stores, everybody's out shopping, trying to hunker down for the next few days, and I understand that. But there comes a time and a place that people need to get off the road because there's other people trying to get to certain places. But again, that comes into trip planning. So that was one of my concerns was, well, do I want to sleep in a little bit and, start rolling when it's a little bit more light out, where it's a little bit more safer, or roll early and get there early and then get unloaded as quick as I can and then come back at least as close as I can to my next stop for tomorrow. So that way I don't have to run very long tomorrow because it's not a very long run. But at the same time, I'm setting myself up for an easy pickup, an easy delivery, and if the roads are bad, at least I won't have to drive in them for very long. And that's a huge part of it. So when you are out here truck driving, or you're out here, even if you're out here planning on just taking a road trip, look ahead. Look how many miles you can do per day. I know that I can run, if I really pushed it and I really needed to get somewhere in a hurry, I could probably run 700 plus miles in one day, which is a pretty solid distance. But that's, again, no bad weather, no traffic, no issues with my load, no issues with the customer. I mean, so there's a lot of different factors that factor into when you're looking at those scenarios and those lengths of time. Because 100 miles, that's an hour and a half, just on average. 700 miles, that's a lot more than 11. That's 11 hours. And a lot can happen between your start point and your ending destination. So I always do my best to look ahead, know kind of what's going on with the weather, and kind of plan yourself out, and have a plan B. If you start looking ahead and seeing that the weather's kind of getting bad, look and see if there's another truck stop between you and there. And sometimes it's beneficial just to call it and say, this is it. I'm not moving another mile. It puts you a little behind for the next day, but you're safe and that's what really matters. I mean, you got to be safe. The load has to be safe. You know, you're not damaging equipment, whether it's your equipment or your company's equipment, and things like that. So as long as you hunker down safely and legally, you know, then that's what really matters. So when you're looking for planning a trip, even if you're in your car or RV or camping trailer or what have you, whatever you got, look ahead. You know, look and say, okay, we're going to get up at about this time, that I should be able to put down about this many miles. We can go ahead and stop here. And I see it all the time. I see RVs parked at truck stops all the time. And I mean, all you other truck drivers, leave a comment. You know, how many times have you seen a U-Haul or an RV or someone that's not a semi in a trailer, in a tractor trailer spot, in a Pilot or Love's or Petro or a mom and pop, you know, whatever. You know, it's all the time. And I don't have an issue with them because they're doing what they are supposed to do, is be safe. You know, the driver got tired. He didn't want to have an accident or cause an accident, so he pulled over. He's taking a break. You know, whether he's... Now, they don't have to follow the same clock that we do. Now, that's another part of it, though, is your clock. Your clock still ticks. Once you start your day, that 14-hour clock does not stop until you stop for the day. That is it. And even then, it's just that clock starts and goes until the end of 14. So when you're looking at your day, know what you can do and kind of plan around shippers as best as you can. I try to give shippers at least 2 hours for an unload, but I go as high as 4 hours, because 4 hours kind of, if you imagine it, it's, you know, about 29 pallets, 30 pallets on a truck, depending on what it is. I've seen some trailers at 26 pallets, some 29, some more, some less. But you always have palletized or floor loaded, so you got to realize how long it's going to take them to load or unload that trailer. So if it's on pallets, it should be pretty quick, but you also got to give them time to count everything and make sure everything's there. Floor load, you might as well go ahead and call it a day. Floor loads, those are the ones I typically give about 4 to 6 hours for a load or unload, just because it takes so much longer, because they just pile it in the back of the truck. And they're trying to, you know, they paid for the trailer, or the customer paid for the trailer, so now they're trying to fill it up as much as they can to get their money's worth. So that's, you know, a huge part of it is going to be looking for, if it's going to be live load, live unload, drop and hook. You know, there's guys out there that do drop and hook. And that's the other thing, though, is you can't always count on that. There's some drop and hooks, you show up, it's a drop and hook, and it turns into a live load because they didn't have time to load another trailer yet, or live unload because they didn't have enough, they don't have any empties there for you. So it also depends on what you're hauling. I mean, I've hauled roses in a trailer before, and I thought, oh, you know, this should be easy, you know, in and out real quick. I'll just leave my trailer here for the night. You know, I'll go down to the Pilot, and I'll come back in the morning, you know, after, you know, 12 o'clock, when they said that they've already finished my trailer, because my appointment wasn't for the next day. And then they told me, nope, it's going to freeze tonight. Go ahead and put that trailer in door 15 or whatever the door was. And I got unloaded right there. And I asked them if I could drop it. They said, nope. They said, since we're unloading you now, you got to stay hooked up. And I was like, okay, not a problem. So it just depends on what you have, and if they're waiting on it, if the shipper has been waiting for it. I know a buddy of mine, he pulled into a Walmart distribution center from, I don't even know where. It's been a while since he did, but he was hauling a load of juice, beverages. I don't know what it was. It wasn't beer, but it was just juice, like apple juice or something. I'm not entirely sure. And he was just supposed to drop the trailer, and as he was getting ready to drop it, a yard dog rushed over and said, "Hey, is that load from blah, blah, blah?" He said, "Sure is." He goes, "All right, go ahead and drop it right there." He goes, "I'll go bring you an empty." And yard dog ran out, grabbed him an empty, and came back. He goes, "We need that trailer right now." And it turns out that there were 4 trucks in docks waiting for that trailer to show up. So, I mean, it just goes to show that, you know, you're also waiting on other trucks sometimes. And it's unfortunate. And most times, they kind of send you on your way if not everything is there, or they'll cancel the load. But it's kind of rare. Some shippers will, some shippers won't. Some will hold that trailer there or hold the load until they have the full order. So, but again, those are things that are unaccountable. You know, you can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna show up here and hope that they don't cancel." You can't have that mentality, because that's negative, and it's just not right. But when it comes to trip planning, you need to account for the weather and also the areas you're going into. If you're going into a lot of cities, or if you're going to be on a lot of highway like what I'm on now. I'm on I-87 up here in New York. So it's some beautiful, beautiful, I don't want to say these are mountains, because they're not really mountains. They're not like Montana mountains. I guess they're rolling hills, whatever's left of the Appalachians. I guess you could call them mountains. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, if it's mountains or if they're hills, or if they're just big sand dunes, I guess. So, but whenever you're going to different shippers, also pay attention to your clock, because that 8 hours also ticking. The HOS rules did change that you can be on duty and your break can be split on duty, off duty, or all on duty, or all off duty, as long as you're not driving. So I did my 30-minute break at a shipper while I was sitting there getting unloaded. I just went off duty, backed up to the door, let them do their job. Guy came out in 25 minutes, knocked on my door, and says, "Okay, we're done." I said, "Okay." I asked him, I said, do you mind if I sit in this door for 5 more minutes? And he didn't have a problem with it. Some will, some won't, just because some shippers don't have a whole lot of bay doors open or available, and they need every single one that they can get. So it doesn't hurt to ask, but always be respectful of your shipper, because they're going to be the final say so of, yes, not a problem, 5 minutes ain't a big deal, my guy's going to go on break, or no, I got a yard dog coming with a trailer right now that's coming in right to this door. So doing your 30, really anytime I start hitting about 3 hours to 2 hours left on my 8-hour clock, anytime that happens, that's when I start kind of looking for a spot, or seeing how far I am from either my final stop for the day or my customer. Now, it's just 30 minutes. It's really not that big of a deal. Some guys really, hate it. To me, it's nice to get out and stretch your legs. Billy enjoys it. He likes getting out and running around and terrorizing people. But once I hit about that 2-hour mark, that's when I start kind of looking around, going, is there a rest stop up here? Or do I need fuel? Because you can do, fueling takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you just pull forward, pull into a spot, or pull forward if it's not too busy. And, I really don't like when guys take their 30-minute breaks in the fuel island. It really annoys me. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves, just because you're taking away from somebody else. Somebody else is trying to work, and you're taking precious time away from them. And I don't want to say it's selfish, but in a way it kind of is, because you think the whole world kind of stops and revolves around you, but it doesn't. So, be courteous, move out of the way of the island. If you're doing a 30, or go and talk to the guy behind you and ask him, like, "Hey man, are you going to be filling up a full tank, or are you just, topping off, or, is it okay if I sit in front of you? I'm just doing a 30. I've already got, 15 minutes down. Is it okay if you just chill for 15 minutes? And some guys really don't care, as long as you ask them, or you just let them know, like, hey, I'm over here doing a 30. Is that okay? Is that cool? And some guys don't mind. They're doing the same thing. That way they can blame you if another guy comes in behind them. So, all in all, guys, just, it's about, courteousness, but, again, planning ahead. Hey, I know I needed fuel. I'm going to stop here and do a 30-minute break and pull into a stall and go get something to eat, pull out of the way of everybody. That way they can all go, back to work. So, but yeah, guys, that's kind of been my day today. Was just, I got up at about 3, ran all the way over to Massachusetts, got unloaded, now I'm headed back, or we're in New York, but I'm headed a little bit closer. I'm going to be in Newburgh, New York, the pilot that's over here. So we'll get a pilot review, and we'll see. I've never been to this pilot before. I talked to a buddy that runs this area a whole lot. He said he's been here. He said it's not bad as long as you get a good spot, and he said it's pretty quiet. Everyone kind of keeps to themselves. So we'll take a look at that. But thank you all for if you did make it this long. Again, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed some of the scenery. And I was reading some of those other comments. Some of them have given me ideas for some other videos. Thank you all to everybody that's watched, and thank you all to everybody that likes, shares, and comments. Let's get this out there to some of those other guys, whether you're new to trucking or maybe you're just interested in seeing the perspective of a truck. So I appreciate it, guys. Again, stay safe out here, especially with the weather. Always pay attention to what's going on around you. You never know what that other person in that car is doing or what they're thinking. So always keep your eyes out, always keep your ears open, and be safe, and God bless.